The grand ballroom of the luxury hotel was alive with chatter, crystal glasses clinking, and the faint strains of a string quartet. Chandeliers sparkled overhead as wealthy guests mingled in their finest attire. At the center of it all stood Raymond Blake, a billionaire hotel owner known for his arrogance and love for theatrics. With a glass of champagne in hand, he leaned against the grand piano, surrounded by admirers. In his booming voice, he laughed. "If anyone here can play this piano better than my personal pianist, I'll marry them on the spot." His statement was clearly meant as a joke, and the crowd roared with laughter. For them, it was just another one of Raymond's ego-filled challenges. The idea of someone surpassing his world-class pianist was laughable, especially in this room. Of elites in the back corner, unnoticed by most, stood Marcus, the hotel's janitor. Dressed in his faded uniform and worn-out shoes, he quietly collected empty glasses from a table. He'd worked here for years, sweeping floors, cleaning bathrooms, and never once being part of the glamorous world that unfolded in front of him. Every night, but when his eyes landed on the piano, something stirred inside him. It had been years since he touched one, but the memory of music still lived in his hands. Raymond spotted him. "Hey you, janitor." The crowd turned, their eyes falling on Marcus with a mix of curiosity and disdain. "Come here. You think you can play this piano? Or are you just here to polish it?" The laughter was sharp, cutting through the air. Some guests whispered, some smirked. Marcus hesitated, glancing at the polished black piano and then back at the mocking faces around him. He could have walked away, but something in him refused to shrink back. He approached the piano slowly, ignoring the stares. Raymond grinned. "All right, folks, let's see the janitor try. Remember the deal? If he plays better than my pianist, I'll marry him." More laughter erupted, and even the pianist smirked. Certain of his victory, Marcus sat down, his fingers hovering over the keys. At first, he had just pressed a few notes, testing the feel, the sound. The crowd began to grow impatient. Someone muttered, "He probably doesn't even know what he's doing." But then, he began to play. The first notes were soft, almost hesitant, like a whisper. But then the melody grew, weaving through the room like a warm embrace. His fingers moved with impossible speed and precision, dancing across the keys, pulling out harmonies. So rich they seemed to paint pictures in the air. The music was alive, passionate, aching, and breathtakingly beautiful. The room fell silent. Glasses paused mid-air, conversations died out, and even Raymond's smirk slowly faded. Marcus's eyes were closed, his head slightly tilted as if lost in another world. Every chord, every run, every swell of the melody carried a story of loss, hope, and resilience. By the time he reached the final note, the room was frozen in awe. The sound hung in the air before dissolving into silence. Then, without warning, the entire room erupted into applause. Guests stood to their feet, clapping, cheering, and shouting words of praise. Even the pianist looked shaken, knowing deep down he had just been outplayed. Raymond was speechless, tried to mask his shock with a chuckle, but it came out awkward. "Well, it seems our janitor here has some hidden talent." He avoided repeating his marriage statement, but everyone remembered it. Some guests teased. "So, Raymond, when's the wedding?" Others laughed, but their eyes still lingered on Marcus with newfound respect. One elderly woman, a renowned music teacher, pushed through the crowd to reach him. "It's young man," she said with tears in her eyes. "That was the most extraordinary performance I've heard in decades. Where did you learn to play like that?" Marcus gave a humble smile. "My mother taught me. She was a music teacher. Before she passed, she told me never to stop playing. But life happened. Bills had to be paid." The woman grasped his hand. "You shouldn't be pushing a mop. You belong on a stage." The murmurs grew as more guests approached, offering their praise and even business cards. Within minutes, the man who had been invisible moments ago was suddenly the center of attention. Raymond, feeling the weight of the crowd's eyes, tried to salvage his pride. "Well, Marcus, maybe I underestimated you. What do we talk about? Putting that talent to good use? Perhaps in the hotel lounge?" Marcus looked him in the eye and said calmly, I appreciate the offer. But maybe I'll play somewhere I'm not the punchline to a joke." The room gasped at his courage, and a few people even clapped in agreement. As Marcus walked away, several guests followed, eager to connect with him. The sound of his music still echoed in their minds, a reminder that greatness can come from the most unexpected places. For the rest of the night, the billionaire, who thought himself untouchable, stood in the corner, quietly wondering how the janitor had just stolen the entire evening with nothing but a song